What's up, Avalonians? This video, we're going to learn about lead generation, right? We first need to learn how to source our leads. And in this video, we're going to learn what the right way is to figure out who our leads are supposed to be in the first place. Because there's nothing more painful than reaching out to somebody who's not interested in your service. You lose out on your reputation when you do that, right? If I reached out to a company that I have nothing to offer, and I go and even if I get a meeting with them, I'm just going to be wasting their time and they're going to think I'm an idiot, right? So in this video, we're going to try to find out how to do lead generation the right way. But first, let's find out how to get the right leads in the first place. Like let's get a template for this lead generation process in the first place. Firstly, not everyone is a customer. And this is a golden sales rule, right? Not everyone in the world will buy your product and service. You can't just multiply the entire population of the world into whatever price of your product and say, yes, I'm going to own the world. You will save a lot of time, energy, and reputation finding the right buyers. Lead generation is the process of creating a loose pool of could be right customers, and they're known as leads, right? These people could be customers. Prospecting is the process of qualifying those leads and making sure they're worth spending time chasing. And then finally, as you can see in this nice little pyramid on the left, first you have leads, then you qualify those leads, those are called your prospects, and then you make sales, right? That's how everybody's funnel looks, and this is called a funnel. We prospect by creating something called an ideal buyer persona. Who is most likely to buy your product? This is a hypothetical list of attributes that a potential customer for your product would have. Before we start prospecting, which is actually starting to qualify these leads and initiating conversation, we generate leads in the process known as lead generation. So lead generation, prospecting, and then you reach out, then you get sales. So if you guys haven't understood yet, this is the process: research, qualifying, and something called lead scoring, that we term as lead generation. Then segmentation, first touch, which is reaching out to that person, that's known as prospecting. From the following up to the closing, that's your sales process, right? So I'm going to teach you in this video how to do lead generation. So there's a matrix on the left, and I want you to answer these questions. This is a standard matrix that we use a lot. I don't know, if other companies use something similar, but I understand that most companies have something along these lines, right? So this is a good template to use if you already don't have one. You have to map your target company using this. But always remember that at the end of the day, you sell to a person or a group of people at the company and not the company itself. This list just narrows down your potential targets. So let's look at some of the questions here. How many employees does my target company have? What industry is the company in? What location is the company in, right? And does this matter to us? For example, you might say, well, I have a product that only works in Bangalore. Right? And there's so many products like this that only work in a particular city or only work in a particular state. Suppose you're selling real estate, right? Say you're selling an entire building. Obviously, the building, you're only going to target people who are in Bangalore, right? If the building is in Bangalore, unless you specifically know that there's somebody in Mumbai who wants to buy a floor in that building or who wants to buy a flat in that building. So location matters a lot. What is the size of revenue this company makes, right? Does this company face the problem we solve? Which is, if a company doesn't have any need for security services, there's no point you going there and asking them if they want security services if you already know they don't want it. Does this company have the financial resources to buy our tool or service? And finally, you have a subjective score. All these are objective so far. Finally, you have a subjective, which is you report it, not somebody else, which is what is the likeness they'll buy your product? What is the likeliness they'll buy your product? Which is how, on a scale of 1 to 5, how likely do you think they would make a purchase, right? So it could be 0, which is you don't think the company, it could be 1, which is they're slightly likely to buy a product, or it could be 5, which is, dude, I think this is the right company for our product. They will 100% buy us. So you make that decision yourself. And over time, you will learn how to, in the beginning, when you fill in that account likeliness, you will be wrong. But with experience, with time, you will get to know how likely somebody is to buy a product. This is an experience thing. So it's okay to be wrong with this. All the others are fairly objective. You can just Google a company and do some research on the company on LinkedIn and Facebook, maybe if they have a Facebook page, and you will get to know more about a company. The more you know about a company, the easier it is to sell to them. Remember, This list is not about inclusion, it's about exclusion. You start with all the companies in the world, and when you answer these questions, you're able to exclude most of them. So you sit on a small list at the end of the day. So it's a process of exclusion, not a process of inclusion. So once you figure out what type of companies you want to target, let's move on to the actual buyer. Who's the decision maker, right? Firstly, what's his location? And this is usually mapped from the company itself. But sometimes a company could exist, say, in Singapore, and then the decision maker could be in China, right? So you have to get the location perfectly. So here you have to get the location of the decision maker. Then there's age, there's education level, there's income range, there's industry, there's job title, there's interests. What is the person interested in? And then maybe you have some more data about the person, which is what keywords are there in the blog articles this person consumed. What keywords does this person tweet about? For example, my last tweet was about the rapper DMX. So if you reached out to me over email and said, Varun, I know you love DMX, I'm very likely to open that, right? So this metadata or this more data, it's a way for you to get that person's attention. So what are the channels that person is available in? To give you an idea, you can find me on Instagram, but I get hundreds, if not thousands of DMs a day. But if you reach out to me on, say, Twitter, I don't get any direct messages on Twitter. I get maybe 1 or 2 a week, right? So that's my least noisy channel. So try to find a person's channel based on the amount of noise they're receiving. What's the main KPI, right? So for a lot of people, say I'm a VP of marketing at some company, what is my KPI? What's my key performance indicator? What's something that I'm looking to increase in the company? What's that one number? Maybe it's the number of sales. Maybe it's the number of impressions. Maybe it's the number of signed up users. Find that person's KPI or guess it. Find that person's recent purchases if you can. Account likeliness to buy. Friction score, which is how many meetings do you think you will have to have with the company and the group or the buying group, not just the person that him or herself. We've learned how to calculate the friction score from the last episode. Get that in here. What is the main buying motivators and what are the main buying barriers? Motivators could be, if you're selling, say, a product that makes a company look pretty on Facebook, maybe the main buying motivator is competition. Maybe the competition is buying the product and that's why this person is likely to buy the product. Maybe the main buying barriers are cost. Maybe your product is too expensive and the company can say, hey, I can't afford that, right? So motivators and barriers, usually there are multiple of these. Now we need to start reaching out to people who fit the persona we've identified. Sometimes you might reach out to somebody that's one level lower, which is the bottom-up approach, or one level higher, which is the top-down approach, than your ideal persona. I've seen that this has to do a lot with how busy that person is. If you want to reach out to me, it's smarter for you to reach out to a VP of Avalon rather than reach out to me directly. If you want to reach out to a VP of Avalon, it's smarter to reach out to one of their employees or one of the people that work under them. In most companies, this is true. However, if you're a venture capital looking to invest hundreds of millions of dollars, it's smarter for you to reach out to the CEO of a company rather than some low-level employee. But suppose you want to reach out to a VP, but you're not able to get in touch with them, then maybe it might make sense to email the CEO and ask for an introduction down, right? Sometimes you might be entirely wrong about this persona, in which case you have to be willing to go back to the drawing board. And this is an experience thing. I've spent so much time sending out emails and calling the wrong persona that it's just an experience at this point where I just know who the right persona would be. But that comes through decades of wrong personas getting your emails and phone calls and abusing you, right? Or telling you I'm not interested in something like this. So you need to go through, hey, I'm not interested many, many, many times for many, many, many years before you know who the right person to reach out to is. And that's what separates the best from the rest. All of these things take experimentation and time, which is why speeding up how fast you run these persona tests is important. If you have a hunch that this is a person that will buy your product or that will respond to your email, run that experiment fast. Don't waste time. Come up with 5 different personas and reach out to all of them quickly in split tests. The people who execute are way more important than the people who theorize. Don't be a theorizer. Don't be a thinker. Be an executor. There's a tool to create personas. Now there's a tool for everything, right? So in case you're lazy, you can use this tool. It's a make my persona tool. Let's take a look at the tool. It's by HubSpot. Again, this is free. We have nothing to do with HubSpot. Let me build my persona. I'm going to call it rich people who want to buy real estate in Bangalore. Okay. How old are they? I think, if you're rich, you probably like 45 to 54 years old at minimum. Actually, more than that. Say 55 to 64. Okay. And yeah, that's, I think, reasonable. What's the highest level of degree or school this person has completed? Usually, in the old world, which is 15 years ago, if you didn't have a degree, it was hard for you to get successful. Today, degrees are not correlated with success. But back then, because these people are 55 to 64, they'll probably need some sort of at least a master's degree. What industry do they work in? Well, while they can work in many different industries, let's look at all the guys in banking. Let's just look at all the guys in banking, right? Maybe we'll reach out to the other guys later. Usually they would have worked in large companies, so 1,000 to 5,000 employee companies. What is their job title? Well, vice president. Maybe CEOs, CFOs. Yeah, that should be good enough. Let's just reach out to these people. How is their job measured? Revenue generated. That's the KPI. Who do they report to? Well, usually the CEO. We want people who report to CEOs. Otherwise, they won't be able to afford our expensive real estate. What are their goals or their objectives? Because we're selling real estate to them, and we're going to sell personal real estate, right? We're not going to sell commercial real estate right now. Maybe their goal or objective is retirement. It's a fair goal and objective to have. What are the biggest challenges? Well, this is a business tool set. It's not for personal tools, but it's okay. We'll use it either way. Let's just say change management, or actually, professional development and change management. Actually, wait. This is awesome. We have, if none of the options above apply. Need a safe environment for their kids. This is a fair challenge. They don't have one. What are their job responsibilities? Right now, maybe they're managing a lot of people. What tools do they use to do their job? Pretty sure they use email. Pretty sure they use some sort of project management. Pretty sure they use some sort of accounting. They use business intelligence dashboard. They use reporting software. I'm sure they use cloud and file. So I think this should be reasonable. They most likely use CRM tool. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. How do they prefer to communicate with other vendors and other businesses? Phone, email, text message, I'm sure. Face-to-face, I'm sure. I don't think these old people are very social media savvy. So let's avoid that. What social networks do they belong to? Actually, how do they gain information for their job? Probably reading blogs, probably podcasts, probably... Where do old people spend their time? Newspaper. Yeah, newspaper. Maybe Facebook. Actually, social networks. Facebook, Twitter, dicey. Let's just say LinkedIn. Let's be accurate about this. Definitely not Pinterest. Definitely not Google. Definitely not Instagram. Right? So this is your persona. Right? And you can just save this and download. And at the end of the day, you realize that this is for you. This is for you to understand who you're trying to target. You're trying to target a rich person, usually between the ages of 55 to 64, who has some sort of master's degree because they come from the old world, the pre-internet world, where a degree was important. They usually sit on Facebook and LinkedIn. Their preferred method of communication is phone, email, text message, face-to-face, and these are other details about them. And their industry is the banking industry. And usually their company size is 1,000 to 5,000. Now, you have instructions, and you can run ads on newspapers, you can run ads on blogs, you can run ads on podcasts, maybe banking blogs. You can run ads on LinkedIn. You can reach out to these people on LinkedIn. You can email these people. There are many ways you can reach out to them, which is why this prospecting tool helps, because once as a CEO or a VP or a vice president of sales, you make this and give it to your sales reps, they know exactly who to go after, right? So make something like this. You don't have to use this HubSpot Make My Persona tool, but I just want to show you how it looks and catch you on the next episode, because we're now going to go into actual prospecting. How do we actually reach out to these people? We're going to learn this in the next episode. So bye-bye.